You all know the old Jewish joke. It's a story about two people who come to their rabbi with a dispute. The first one tells his side of the story, and he argues so persuasively that the rabbi says to him, "You're right." Then the other person tells his side of the story, and he too argues so persuasively so that the rabbi says to him, "You're right." The rabbi's wife is listening, and at this point she loses her patience and she says to her husband, "Idiot, they're saying opposite things. They can't both be right." And the rabbi thinks about what she's saying, and then he says to her, "You're right." Well, when it comes to Taylor Swift, both her friends and her critics are wrong. The Super Bowl is gone and forgotten, but the story of Taylor Swift lives on. For those of you who have been living in outer space, Taylor Swift is one of the world's leading recording artists of all time. Taylor Swift's net worth is estimated to be something in the area of $740 million. She has sold more than 200 million albums, which is more than the combined sales of my book of sermons, my Haggadah, and my book, What We Can Learn from the Rich and Famous. When Taylor Swift speaks, people listen, and that's what concerns her MAGA critics. They live in fear of her endorsing Joe Biden for president, and so to undermine her credibility, they claim everything from George Soros controls her to her being involved in a secret psychological operation with the Defense Department to her having the playoffs fixed for the Kansas City Chiefs so that she could be seen with her boyfriend at the Super Bowl and publicly endorse Joe Biden for president. All these accusations are wrong. All these accusations are nothing more than one of the dangers of our times: conspiracy theories. And we Jews should be sensitive to this because the 210 years of enslavement in Egypt was based on a conspiracy theory. How did Pharaoh turn the Egyptian people against the Jews? He told them, "Behold, the people, the children of Israel, are more numerous and stronger than we. And if a war will occur, they may join our enemies and wage war against us." Every word of his was a lie. We weren't more numerous, and we weren't stronger. We had no intention of going to war against the mighty Egyptians. But the Egyptian people believed what they wanted to believe. Taylor Swift's accusers are doing the same thing, and it's wrong. Many of Taylor Swift's admirers are also wrong in their attitude toward her. Taylor Swift has hundreds of millions of followers who are anxious to hear what she has to say. In 2018, she started to take political stands, and people listened. Before that year's election, Taylor Swift, for the first time, came out and endorsed two native candidates in her native Tennessee. She told her followers to register and vote. And according to vote.org, 65,000 registrations came in within 24 hours. The voter site within 24 hours had 155,000 unique visitors compared to the usual coverage of 14,000. As a spokesperson for Vote.org put it, thank God for Taylor Swift. When all this happened in 2018, I got myself thinking, what has Taylor Swift got that I ain't got? Why do people follow her advice when it comes to politics? What is the depth in her knowledge base? So I did some research then, and I discovered that after graduating high school, she had no further education. She immediately entered the world of entertainment. From there, she made it big. Now, here are some of the other things I learned then about Taylor Swift. 10 years before that, she got into a fight with Kanye West, another great political mind. They fought over whether Taylor Swift deserved to beat out Beyonce for Best Female Video of the Year. A year later, Kanye apologized. 3 years later, he unapologized. In 2015, they reunited, but by 2016, they were fighting again over the words in one of her songs, which attacked one of his songs, which attacked Taylor. In 2017, she struck back in one of her songs. And in 2018, Kanye supported Donald Trump and Taylor Swift didn't. Kanye and Taylor and other pop stars are our political prognosticators. Isn't this crazy that millions of people take the political opinions of people like this seriously? Yeah, there's always been hero worship. We have worshiped celebrities for their exceptional achievements in sports and arts, but their advice, to emulate them? I'm reminded of the words of Chicago Cubs outfielder Andre Dawson, who spoke in regard to being a role model for children. His words, I want all them kids to do what I do, to look up to me. I want all them kids to copulate me. We would all do well to remember the words of football commentator and former player Joe Theismann, who said, nobody in football should be called a genius. A genius is a guy like Norman Einstein. Norman Einstein. That's what happens when we put people like this on pedestals, making them worthy of emulation. Judaism never bought into this mindset. Think about our holidays. Some American holidays focus on people. This week it was George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. And that's not just an American tradition, that's very much a Christian tradition as well. The most sacred days in the Christian calendar, Christmas and Easter, focus on Jesus' birth and resurrection. We Jews have our giants, and all of them have birthdays as well, but there's no day in our calendar dedicated to any one of them. And in fact, last weekend was the birthday of the greatest giant of our people. The 7th day of Adar is the day on which Moshe was born and died. Did you know that? Did you do anything to celebrate it? If you didn't, I can't blame you, because not only don't we have any celebrations of his birth, but quite the contrary, our tradition went in the very opposite direction. Our Torah reading this week was the Seder of Tetzaveh. Our rabbis noted something remarkable about this Torah portion. It's the one that does not contain the name of Moshe. The only one from Exodus all the way into Deuteronomy that does not contain his name. And this Torah reading comes every year around the time in which Moshe's birthday falls. To our sages' way of thinking, nothing happens by chance. There's always a deeper lesson involved, and there's one in this one. According to our sages, God kept Moshe's name out of the Torah portion, in a sense, to fulfill an expressed wish of Moshe. Remember, Moshe stood atop Mount Sinai receiving the Torah, and the people betrayed him and built a golden calf. And God was furious, and he says to Moshe, I'm going to destroy this people, and I'll make a new nation out of you. And what does Moshe say? In do, he turns to God and says, if you'll not forgive their sin, blot me out, I pray you, from the book that you have written. Remove my name from the history books. Let it never be known that I ever walked the earth. Save the people instead. And say our rabbis, in order to symbolically fulfill this demand of Moshe, God chose to leave his name out of this week's Torah portion. Think about it. Think about how remarkable Moshe was. Think of the other heroes of ancient time. Alexander the Great wanted all children to be named Alexander and had cities named for him. Romulus, well, he took Rome. The first calendar was referred to as the Julian calendar after Julius Caesar. And when he made changes in that calendar, he also changed the name of one month, July, to be named after him. Augustus, who succeeded him on Rome's throne, wasn't to be outdone, so he changed the name of the next month to August. And I guess after running out of names for months, the rest of the Caesars just settled for a salad bearing their name. And that's the way it was with all the classical heroes, but not with our hero, Moshe, and not with Judaism. We don't focus on people. We focus on ideas, and ideas of judgment and forgiveness and religious liberty and freedom and revelation, and not on the Taylor Swifts of this world. Shabbat Shalom.